Frank Walker starts the movie with a video message about the future mankind might face with troubles like famine, wars, overpopulation, but as a child, he had different imagination. 1964, Frank presents his jetpack at the World's Fair contest in New York, but his project gets rejected by David Nix, the competition referee. Despite Nix's rejection, a girl named Athena gives Frank a badge and tells him to follow her, leading him to a moving toy pavilion where a laser beam scans the badge's data. This directs Frank into a secret tunnel that transports him to an unfamiliar place, where he sees Athena aboard a strange flying machine. As Frank chases after it, he faces a huge robot. Frank's backpack shatters, but the robot reassembles it for him and he puts it on. Afterward, Frank lands in Tomorrowland, where he sees the town and its beauty. Casey Newton interrupts Frank's story, and the action shifts to the 21st century, where Casey sneaks into the Cape Canaveral spaceport and disables the cranes disassembling the platform. Her dream is to defend the platform, but in class, she hears terrifying predictions, with no solutions to fix them all. At night, she goes to the spaceport again and gets caught by the police. After being detained, Casey finds an unfamiliar badge among her belongings and picks it up, which takes her flying over the road into an unknown land called Tomorrowland. When she returns home, she discovers that the badge transports her to Tomorrowland and makes her feel like she's there, but she is still in her own world. Later, Athena comes to Casey's house to confess she's from the future and to track down the girl, who then goes to a store selling vintage objects from the future. The salesperson attempted to discover how Casey obtained her badge and inform her about a group of brilliant artists and scientists known as Plus Ultra. They operate in secret, free from politics, bureaucracy, envy, and greed, striving to make a difference in the world. By touching their badge, one can access their city. Suddenly, Casey is subjected to an intense interrogation about a girl she does not know and threatened with a mysterious weapon that can penetrate the room's roof. However, a balloon enters the store, paralyzing everyone with its unfolding. Athena arrives and instructs Casey to follow her. After the bomb's effects wear off, Athena joins Casey in decapitating the robot posing as an agent. As they run out into the street, an explosion occurs, and Athena saves Casey's life by pushing her into a parked car. Athena explains that she planted the badge on Casey and that they must go to Plus Ultra City to save the world. Casey realizes Athena is also a robot and runs away in fear. Athena chases after her, but Casey drives away in a pickup truck. Later, the Secret Service and police arrive at the scene of the explosion and find the robot's skull. They are interrupted by a man who disperses them with his weapon and requests that they inform the governor that the girl has been found. She confessed that she had been searching for Casey for quite some time because of how unique she is. Together, they went to see a man named Frank Walker, who is just as special. Later on, Casey woke up to the realization that she had been thrown out onto the road. Fuming with anger, she made her way to Walker's residence, only to be attacked by a dog. Despite being frightened, Casey noticed that there were no marks on the ground from the dog's chain, leading her to realize that it was just a hologram. As Casey presents her badge, an unknown force throws her off from the doorstep. Frank convinces her that what she saw was just a commercial and suggests she goes home. Despite the heavy rain, Casey stubbornly stays and becomes fascinated by the many wires and antennas stretching out from the house. With an old tractor parked nearby. As the alarm goes off, Frank rushes out and extinguishes the burning tractor with a strange fire extinguisher. He realizes it was a distraction to break into the house, but his defense system throws him off when he tries to open the door. Meanwhile, Casey explores the incredible devices and finds a strange projector showing footage of Frank and Athena in Tomorrowland. She also discovers a room with a computer system analyzing world news. Frank later confesses to Casey that he was thrown out of the future, and Casey realizes that he has built a machine predicting humanity's demise. However, when Casey encourages him not to give up, the prediction improves significantly. Androids posing as Secret Service representatives then show up at the house, demanding that Frank be handed over, but Frank closes all entrances. The robots eventually enter the house, where numerous traps await them, resulting in their deaths. Frank is captured and Casey comes to his aid, unknowingly getting her hands on dangerous objects. Frank activates a magnetic wall and destroys the robot. However, they are caught by the leader, who reads Frank his rights before Casey uses a bat to destroy the android's head. They flee to a nearby lake and Frank tells Casey about his troubled relationship with his father. Athena, a recruiter, arrives in a car and persuades them to return to the building where Frank has set up a teleportation station. Frank is reluctant, but Athena gives them a weapon and they set off on their own. Frank blindfolds Casey and gives her a mysterious powder before setting a course for the tower. As the machine hums, the exhausted group exits the capsule. Casey is very thirsty and grabs a can of Coke while Frank hurries them, warning that robots will soon arrive. Once outside, Casey is overjoyed to find herself on the Eiffel Tower in the heart of Paris. Here, they meet prominent geniuses of their era, including a young Nikola Tesla and Edison. It was Tesla who designed the antenna capable of picking up all subspace frequencies. Frank winds up a vintage gramophone and, in a secret movie, opens a door. The girls are delighted to see the marvels of technology as the tower begins to part to the sides, and a rocket rises out of the ground. Suddenly, a car with androids rushes up to the bottom of the tower, but Frank, Casey, and Athena are already inside the rocket, which takes them to the right place. One of the robots hits the glass of the porthole as the rocket takes off, startling the inhabitants of the metropolis. Flying above the ground, the rocket turns back around and enters another dimension, shaking as it passes through the shimmer. Frank notices the glass is cracked by the robot's impact. The trio is greeted by the head of the city, David Nix, who meets Casey and is struck by Frank's claim that she's the one who can save the world. They fly to the control tower, where Nix shows Casey the blurry figures of glimpses of the future that will happen in a few minutes. The tower converts the energy of tachyons, and with the help of a tachyon observatory, one can look anywhere on Earth. Casey thinks of Cape Canaveral and operates the equipment herself, amazing Nix. Later on, the company ends up at Casey's house and witnesses her conversation with her father from 3 days ago. They then travel to the future, where Casey sees the inevitable demise of humanity. She stops at the ruins of her own house, and Nix assures her that nothing can be changed. Everything will happen in 58 days, but Casey won't put up with it. Frank starts to convince Nix to try to save the world. But he knocks out Frank, who is deported again. Athena informs him about it, and he sees desperate Casey, who no longer believes his words. Suddenly, it hits her. How was Frank picking up their signals? What if the control box is a giant badge that broadcasts negativity and convinces people not to fight back? They need to disable the control unit. They elect Nix, who opens the way for them to Earth, to an island in the ocean, where they can live out their days beautifully. But Nix refuses to listen to them, and Frank realizes this is his idea. Nix confirms all his attempts to convince people to prevent the catastrophe have run into a wall of incomprehension. Frank presses the key on his bracelet and drags Nix with him to the island, ordering Athena to activate the bomb. The robots that appear try to grab Athena, but she throws the bomb to Casey. She reprograms the robots, causing them to fight each other while Frank and Nix wrestle in the sand. Casey sees a glimpse of the future in which she activates the bomb and repeats her movements. The platform falls down and Casey loses the bomb. Athena manages to open the door to the shore again and the men run inside. The bomb explodes on the island, catching Nyx's legs under a falling rack, preventing him from getting out. Athena sees he would be shot and manages to cover Frank with her body, taking permanent damage. She says goodbye to Frank, admitting that machines can feel too. She's been looking for dreamers and found them. Dreamers must stick together. Finally, she asks Frank to use her to destroy the Tachyon Observatory because the bomb is lost. Taking the girl in his arms, Frank flies over the control balloon and fulfills her request. The explosion destroys the observatory and kills Nyx. Frank and Casey team up to create a passage to her father's abode as they require assistance from engineers. Subsequently, they design fresh badges for the Visionaries since it's not adequate to only destroy an antenna. Constructing a new one is necessary. Their scouts embark on a quest to discover innovative dreamers and inventors who deserve to reside in Tomorrowland. The film concludes here. Share your opinions about the movie with us in the comments below.